Sportscast. My name is Scott Harrigan, and today we have the president of the James Bay Athletic Association, John de Goede. John, how you doing today?
Good, Scott. How are you?
Very well, very well. How you keeping up with the COVID and the family? It's all been good. It's been a struggle for everybody.
Yeah, it's been. We've had a couple of cases within the family, but everyone's come out of it all right. And
yeah,
Christmas okay and
good stuff.
No, it's all right.
What's any effect with the club at all?
Well, only with how the club's been able to operate for the last couple of years, but no cases around the club.
Right.
So it's been pretty good. We've been pretty fortunate.
You've been able to practice and stuff like that, or been able to, because it's more than rugby there, right?
Right. Well, yeah. It's been difficult around the weight room. We've got a small weight room that players like to use a lot, so that's been really difficult to establish. Small bubbles, like bubbles of 2 or 3 that guys have to coordinate to train together.
Right.
So that's been tricky, but we've been able to keep it going. And then the rest of the club, there's lots of direction from the BCRU about how we're supposed to operate.
Okay.
And we try our best to follow it. And
pretty
much outdoors, not a lot of access to change rooms.
Right.
Not a lot of access to the club bar rooms and stuff, but
it's a great little location, isn't it? I mean, the clubhouse is, I want to get into that actually. When I kind of looked up your association, and it's been around like
86.
18, yeah, wow.
Yeah.
And who was the original founder?
There was a Dr. Helliken was involved, Tolmie, pretty historic names in the city of Victoria.
Yeah.
And essentially, in the beginning, it was a pretty
naval?
Big naval influence, but it was a pretty big deal of social life in Victoria as well.
100%.
Held dances downtown and stuff.
A social club.
It's a thing for people to go to, yeah.
Yeah, because it didn't start off rugby. No. You've gone to the Olympics. You've had rowing. Right. Just
rowing,
a multitude.
Baseball, lots of different sports have played out.
Right.
In the association.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And the colors are
blue and white, and really basically just blue, and that's a nod to the Royal British Navy. Just
that's the influence.
Off their boat and their blue wool.
Right. Exactly. And I know just being in that part of town, it certainly is very community driven, isn't it? It's like Victoria has its pockets of that, but right. James, it's an old part of town, is correct? Yeah.
We've been lucky to be able to maintain our location in James Bay.
Have you been there from the day? No.
In the current location, we've been there since 1966.
Okay.
We built that clubhouse. Built the first version of that clubhouse. It's been changed a couple times since then. But prior to that, the original clubhouse is down the waterfront, right in front of the legislature buildings, where the V2V ferry is slowly sinking. And the
if it hasn't, it's now the undersea gardens now, I believe, isn't it?
Right. And then that's right. It's coming back. And then we were across the water at the end of Robert Street. Had a big clubhouse there that we sort of lost in the Second World War, and then we were out to the gorge for a while, and then we were homeless for a little while, and then they figured out. Finding some of the old funds, and we got that building going.
Yeah, but you've had your trials and tribulations over the years, as far as and I know that a lot of the members fought in a lot of the Boer War, the Korean War, the World War I, World War II, and unfortunately you lost some members due to the wars, and you're very active when it comes to remembering and honoring them.
Yeah, definitely. We the club is decimated, especially World War I, decimated the club membership. World War II, again, not so much.
Because you had, at least close to 50 in World War I you lost? Or it was a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, over 125 served, and lost quite a number. So, yeah.
So, I'm not from here. I didn't go to school here. I didn't play my sports here. And rugby, where I came from, where I was raised, wasn't that big. I think I've only ever played a handful of games myself personally. It just wasn't something. It just wasn't our thing back then, I guess, or it wasn't predominant. But when I moved here, the guy worked with Jacques Hitos. You know, Jacques is a nut bar. Love the guy, just love the guy. But he started introducing me to the game, and we'd go to McDonald Park and watch the boys, and I was instantly attracted. But what it brought me to was that as I started learning more of the game, and then rugby started going to that a lot more. Club. There's a massive difference between club rugby and Rugby Canada.
Yeah, it certainly seems that Rugby Canada and Club Rugby are Rugby Canada seems to have sort of divorced itself from rugby clubs.
It's true, right? Like there's a disconnect.
There's a disconnect.
Why?
I'm not sure. I don't know that they see the value in clubs.
Do you know what I think? I have a personal opinion on it.
Sure.
And this is by talking to some of the board members and stuff and ex-employees. And I believe it's because they don't put enough emphasis on youth rugby. That's not their mandate. And I believe that they're, I think it's more money driven. See, to me, the clubs continuously, even as we just talked about the hardships that you've had over the years between finding locations, stuff like that, and you've just always survived because of that family. Like once you're part of that association, you just you find ways of getting out of that. Where I think Rugby Canada was well more money driven, right? Yeah. And that is their focus, is to do that. Where club rugby, it's more of a family. Is that fair? Or?
Yeah, I think it's probably really, really fair. We don't hear from Rugby Canada at all. We used to, years ago, there was a pretty good relationship. They were interested in what players were doing and what we were doing to support players. And now the selection process is no longer based on what happens at clubs or provincial leagues. It's all about identifying players, getting them out of clubs and into situations that Rugby Canada thinks is best.
Sevens
or into MLR or into camps out of Langford, and not letting them play league rugby, things like that.
Well, where do they think they get these players from? Like if they just don't seem to be interested in 15s rugby. Like it's an afterthought now. Yeah. Like it's all about, sevens is an exciting game, and you go to them as in Vancouver too, but they don't just grow on trees.
Yeah, to be fair, they've tried to resurrect the Pride. They've got Phil Mack out there now.
He's awesome, right?
He's great. And
why isn't he coaching a men's team is what I don't get. No, really.
Yeah. I'm sure Phil's got his own ambitions. And hopefully that Pride program, which does participate in the league, is an outlet for younger players and get them back involved with club rugby. When Clark was around with Rugby Canada, when he started the Pride, he was instrumental in making sure that Pride players got involved in league rugby, and he did a great job, not only just bringing players into the Pride, but getting them back involved in the league afterwards.
I asked a board member. I'm not throwing her under the bus by any means. In fact, I think she's an amazing woman and athlete on her own right. But I asked her what grassroots rugby was. She didn't know. She had no. I don't know what grass rugby means. I don't know what grassroots of anything means, really. No, and it's like what is that term? And to me, grassroots might mean different to you. What does grassroots mean to you?
Grassroots rugby means to me that we've got former international Patrick Dunkley coaching the U7 kids at McDonald Park every Sunday morning.
That's youth rugby.
That's youth rugby.
That is, okay, you just exactly clearly I don't know the game like you. However, I do know sports and I do know grassroots. And grassroots starts with coaching the youth. That is grassroots to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that disconnect comes from with thinking they're the governing body of rugby in itself. And I even know that teams in Ontario, clubs in Ontario, they don't want any association to do with Rugby Canada. Like, don't touch us. Don't come near us.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, there's no support. It appears to be, and lots of guys will complain that they end up paying fees to Rugby Canada and then see nothing coming back down the channel the other way.
No. I actually have the financial records for, I've been trying to do interviews with Rugby Canada for years, and I actually was given by a member. And a lot of people that aren't associated with rugby, what you have to understand is that it is members. It is owned for the people, by the people. Correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And I was shown the 2019-2020 statements, and it's like, holy smokes. It's not a lot of money comes back down this way, but a lot of money is getting taken in.
Yeah.
So not to hash, like I'm not here to talk about, but what I am is what I really want to emphasize is that club rugby just does it right every year, no matter what.
Yeah, it's a challenge every year. It's volunteer driven.
Exactly.
I can't imagine. I don't think there's a club that on the island that's got anybody that they're paying any sort of a substantial amount of money to make the organizations work.
Tickets are cheap, like they're affordable to go to games, right? What is it now?
To attend a premier game, I think at any park it's $7 per person.
$7.
Yeah.
Right?
It's pretty affordable.
Where are you going to go in town for $7 and have that sort of entertainment?
And if you pay $10, Scott,
you get a beer. As well. That's right. That's right. That's right. Jacques always wanted my ticket for the beer, though, the bastard. All right, you know what he's like. I want to get back talking about more in the club because it's what you do. There's fight nights, there's dinners, you rent the place out and stuff like that. You look after the facility, even though it's on city property and stuff like that. How does that play out?
Well, actually, the club, we own the property.
I didn't know that, John.
The city has the first right to purchase if it ever went up for sale, but the property belongs to us. Yeah.
Did they not own that? Where does the property go to? The driveway? It's certainly not the park itself.
No, not the park itself. Just the corner lot.
Right.
The building sits on in the parking lot.
Right.
Adjacent to that.
But you're forever cleaning up and stuff like that. Yeah. Like I mean, you know what? You look after it.
Certainly we want the people that live in the neighborhood and around us not to be. We want to be good neighbors.
Right.
And we do. Unfortunately, we can't do fight night anymore, but we do lots.
Why?
Oh, well.
Uh-oh. Is there a story here? Is this breaking news?
Not really. It's just that in the last sort of 5 years, maybe even a little bit longer, rugby's been very consumed about concussions and head contact and trying to make the game safer. So it seemed to be a bit of an oxymoron to try and make the rugby game safer and then ask guys to get in the boxing ring, put on gloves, and whack each other as often as they can. So
really?
So was
that a decision you made, or it was forced?
No, it was a decision we made. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that didn't go over well with them.
There's lots of club members that would love to see Fight Night come back, and maybe at some point. But for now, we look at other avenues of raising funds and.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's still a big part of the club lore. We ran 25 years of Fight Night, and it was lots of fun.
I mean, the videos are epic. They're online and stuff, and it's certainly something unique to your club, right?
Yeah, we feel like we invented the event, and
exactly
ran with it for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. What's your history with Castaways? Is it the rivalry people think it is? Is it a hated?
I don't think it's a hate.
Was there
hate relationship? There have been some really fiery games for sure, but I think both organizations love the sport and love the camaraderie. You can't exist without an opponent. I mean, so
exactly.
And Castaway Wonders are a great opponent. They do a really good job with their youth program.
They do.
Really
Kenny Goodland.
Yeah, Kenny Goodland and
Rod
Macker. Yeah. Those guys, they do a wonderful job just getting that program going every year. And we take some lessons from them in that area. And so there's when we.
But there's no love lost when you play.
No love lost once we get to the game.
Exactly.
Once it's a premier game, then for sure it's going to be a hard afternoon. Hard afternoon for the officiating team and. Guys are going to go at it for sure. Yeah.
Did you reffed?
Yes. Yeah.
Was that a conflict of interest if you went against? No, because
you'd have to ask them. It's difficult. I I think
because your kids are on there.
Yeah, for sure. All fellas that are refereeing in the Premier League at one time or another played for a club virtually, and have had, just because of the shortage or lack of numbers, end up having to ref a team that they might have been involved in or a club that they might have been involved with.
But rugby is that sport that it's probably the only sport you could get away with that, honestly, because of the integrity and just the rugby is this game that, like they say, you go out and beat the shit at each other, but you're having beers like that. Not a lot of sports are like that, right? So you can get away with, reffing at your own kid or something, or even though you're part of that social, because it's every rugby person I know is for the better of the game.
Oh, they're very generous.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
So just because you're playing there that Saturday afternoon, during the week they're working at other clubs. There's guys at the local that's castaway guys.
Yeah.
So, and I really appreciate that. That's one of the things that draws me in to the game of rugby, is that camaraderie and that mutual respect for each other at that level.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you see that in world rugby? Do you see that? Like, is that just something, is that part of your teaching to youth? Like, or they just pick up on that, or by osmosis?
There are lots of examples of that happening in world rugby. At the last World Cup, Canada, New Zealand, post-game, Kiwis coming in afterwards with beers and things, shaking hands. And I think even at the top level of the game, players want to get to know each other and respect each other.
Absolutely, yeah, that's it. And it's but is that, again? Do you teach that to the youth, like the 7, 8-year-old, 9-year-olds?
Oh, definitely.
Right? Yeah, for sure. Is there like do they inquire about the? Is it rugby again? It seems to me that you can gauge a sport by registration. That's one of the ways of saying, is it popular? Is it this? Is it that? Rugby, there's not a lot of kids playing rugby out in the street and going car. There's not, you don't see rugby balls on baseball fields or stuff like that. It's usually comes from the mom or the dad played, and that kid had a rugby ball in his crib or her crib, right?
Yeah.
So they're at games every Saturday. Rain, pissing down, snow, it doesn't matter. They're out there playing with other kids, and they just learn to love it that way. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair. But I would add as well that more parents are willing to take their kids out, especially with the if they start with the mini rugby program. So there's no
I love
contact.
that stuff. The tyke.
No contact until you're 12 years old. So you have lots of time for kids just to get used to running and passing, and
that is
the thing. Being together and having fun, and yeah,
absolutely. So what's it like to have the alumni showing up at the game every Saturday, just in the support and on both sides? Like, it's the castaways are down at this end, the boys are here, and there's that camaraderie. But what's it like to have those old boys come out? And
it's really important. We appreciate our non-playing supporting members. They're probably the largest part of our registration group. They help fund the club year in and year out. And it's great on a nice day to see them come out, find a place to stand or sit, and just to cheer on for their team. And you're right, it's not just our club. Castaway Wonders have a great following. Older guys out of West Shore, same deal. Up at Nanaimo, lots of...
it's big in Cowichan, eh?
Yeah. Cowichan for sure,
and the women's, like, if they lost a game in the last decade, like, I don't even know.
They're a pretty strong team.
They are good, right?
Yeah, they've done a great job getting their programs going in the high school and finding those female athletes early, getting them into the club.
What happened to VLOX?
So VLOX, there was an amalgamation and name change, and they ended up becoming the West Shore Club, essentially.
Okay.
So I would say that probably the focus of that club changed quite a bit when they went the way of West Shore, but they were a powerhouse at one time, no? They were, they've had some great teams.
And that was the shittiest field of shitty fields, though, right? I mean, that looked like that's worse than the potholes that are on the Malahat right now, like that cow pasture.
Yeah, they appeared to have some problems figuring out how to water that field and grow grass.
The beer was cold out there, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, they had a very nice clubhouse and a facility alongside, but the pitch itself was sometimes wanting for sure.
Yeah. What are, if you're looking back because of the history, and who are some of the greats that have gone through those doors at McDonald's?
Oh, well, there's guys like Chuck Shergold, Mick Eckhart, Gary Johnson, Underwood. There's tons of them. I'm gonna miss.
No, it doesn't. You don't have to hit them all, but just like some of the absolute standouts.
Yeah. Well, Mick Eckhart for sure. He was a tough guy with Canada, and I remember when I started playing rugby after university, playing with Mick, and glad I was playing with him and not against him. Just some really hard guys.
What does Lou Madley mean to the club?
Lou Madley, a longtime administrator and supporter of the club, wrote the club history in the club's centenary year in 1988. Just a terrific guy. Just celebrated his 100th birthday and still alive. And
he's still alive?
Still alive. I guess that's sort of obvious if he celebrated his 100th birthday, but as opposed to saying he was dead. But anyway, Lou likes to be in the far corner on the attacking side of James Bay, and so he'll switch corners at every game. And COVID probably has been unfortunate because Lou certainly probably missed the last 2 seasons. But hopefully, when we get going again in a few weeks on the Saturday, Lou will come down and
Wow. Did he play?
For him. No, Lou.
Just a fan. Just a supporter.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he's taken upon himself to write the history and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wrote history of the club that we still reference quite a bit.
So he must. If he walks in that clubhouse, that must just be like God walking in there, or a king. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all hail Lou. Lou's here.
All hail Lou for sure.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
What does huddy huddy mean?
Yeah, huddy. I think we credit Mother Hubbard, Jim Hubbard, with that saying. I don't know what it means other than it's a cheer. Things are going right. Huddy.
I've heard it at cold beer and wine stores. Doesn't matter what municipality. I've heard it in freaking Tim Hortons. The 2 guys are talking, and the one guy goes huddy huddy, and the guy, and I'm like, what the fuck is huddy huddy?
Yeah, I guess we'd like to claim that hubby invented the term.
Do you say it? Do you catch yourself saying it?
Well, not too often, but now and then. But it's an interesting cheer.
Good stuff. Your girls' youth program. Wow, tell me about that.
Yeah, so we've got a core of 4 or 5 past players. Lisa Corey, Brad, just really solid guys.
Jen Ross?
Jen Ross taking over the women's program now and looking after the U19s before Christmas. And we're excited for what they're doing. They're really committed to it. It's a great sport for women, for young girls especially. Nobody cares what your body shape is or size is. There's somewhere for everybody, and it's just, and there's a sense of camaraderie that really I think is really important for young people to learn and understand. And we're quite fortunate to have Jen Ross taking over the senior program back after a number of years this year for a long time, and we're hoping that she's taking our U19 girls from the fall into the women's league in the winter, starting in a couple of weeks, and looking forward to that taking off.
Yeah, that is. It just the other thing that amazes me about your club and Castaways too, for that matter, is, some years you're depleted, other they're playing for whoever or wherever, but it's always competitive. Like, where are you where are these kids coming from? How do you get year after year? Like, is that just right from the youth? Is you growing the game within, obviously, but not every rugby player is from here.
No, it's a challenge, and it's a challenge for all premier clubs, especially in the smaller communities. In the city of Victoria, 350,000 people, 4 premier clubs. In Vancouver, 3 million people in 6 clubs.
Exactly.
So we really.
But you kick their ass every year.
Yeah, we try.
Yeah, but you do though.
But
not there's a couple of years they don't whatever, but
yeah. Well, the University of Victoria does a good job helping to bring players along and giving them an opportunity to play in a real structured situation.
Now, I want to ask you about that, and
Sure.
while you're on that, are you affiliated or associated with U Sports, or is that just something UVic does locally for all the Prems?
We're not affiliated with U Sports. The UVic Men's University Rugby Team, U Sport doesn't have a league for them yet. I know there's a lot of discussion about trying to get rugby into the U Sport program, I know there was a tournament just before Christmas, but an unofficial tournament, not a U Sport sponsored tournament.
But UBC, is that associated? Is that directly? No,
not with U Sports. Not the men's program.
We got lucky having Doug Tate here.
Yeah, we got lucky having Doug Tate. The universities, in the original construction or formation of the British Columbia Rugby Union, the University of British Columbia was a very big player. And in fact, in the original competitions for the trophy's going to remember, I'm going to miss it right now, but in between the unions, so the Vancouver Rugby Union, the Vancouver Island Rugby Union, and the Fraser Valley, UBC made up the 4th union. Because they were a big enough organization, and
so part of the Roundsfeld? No,
yeah, it's the
what is that? So that's called the Barnard?
No,
Barnard. No, what is
Barnard's the local one?
That's a local, and you've won that 54 times.
Yeah, a lot of times.
Holy shit!
You just have to be around a long time.
What's the 4th? We can't.
I'll sorry.
So UBC that made up that.
So yeah, that's
okay,
the sport
I didn't know
came
that.
in. Yeah, so the sport came in as just part of their sporting legacy. And when the University of Victoria got going, there was a Victoria College team that just migrated over there, and they've been playing. So despite not being part of the, despite men's rugby not being part of the Canadian University program, those teams have existed within local leagues, and the universities themselves have allowed those teams to continue to exist.
Has sevens taken away from the traditional rugby? Is it hindered rugby? It's exciting. I get it.
It's exciting. I'd be reluctant to say that it hindered. It's definitely created a new area of specialization. So that it's a certain style and type of player that's going to play sevens rugby. So I guess it's created another opportunity to market the game for sure. At the in lots of like in school rugby, when it's difficult to get 15 kids to play, you can always find a sevens team. So it's sort of offered another avenue into the 15s game at that level. In a country like Canada where you don't have a lot of rugby players, it might make it a bit more difficult to compete at 15s if you're trying to run a full sevens program. For sure, there are 2 different areas of specialty. Yeah.
Does James Bay have just a sevens program?
No, we put together teams for tournaments and things, but no, we don't just run a sevens program. I don't think any of the clubs do.
No, it's probably going to happen though.
Yeah, there was prior to COVID, there was a sevens competition that essentially ran through the summer, sponsored by the BCRU. Not all clubs participated, and not all clubs participated every year.
Right.
And that may come back again once things settle down.
Okay.
I would just say, Scott, you couldn't run a sevens league and a 15s league at the same time in BC. That would just make things impossible.
I was wondering if that's something that could be done at that. But is it tougher? How do you coach the kids now that like these kids that are coming up really don't know 15s, do they? Like what they see is what they see on TV and stuff. Like sevens is. How do you coach a kid that wants to play sevens?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Encourage them to play both.
No,
I don't have a great answer for you. I think you just try and encourage them to play both, and if you can get kids involved in clubs, they'll get a chance to be exposed to both.
Is there what you've seen, like, because you've been around a long time, like you said, and to be around and win 54 caps, and what was it? What year did you have that trifecta where you won all three? Was that 2005, 2006?
That's it. It was a while ago.
It was a while, but is there? Do you see today a difference between coaching boys and girls and coaching men and women? Do women need to be coached differently? Do men need to be coached differently? Because the world that we live in right now, and certainly with some of the things that are going on at the RC level, are you noticing that this is discussions now that you're having at club level? Like this has to be done this way. Is that something that's the new thing?
I think coaching either men or women, boys or girls, really we're trying to focus on getting the basic skills done as soon as possible. The ability to run, pass, kick, tackle, and understand how the game's played. Men played a faster and
more aggressive,
more contact level. I'm not sure about aggressive. Women can be pretty aggressive.
Oh no, that was the wrong word actually. Yeah.
But the art games that are played slightly different. But the women's games come a long way.
Yeah.
It is way more exciting to watch than it was 10 years ago. And there are a lot of elite players
athletes,
out there.
elite.
Sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But does that come through training, like is that coach? Where does that? I mean, if it wasn't for the women, we weren't winning anything there for a while. Nobody was even talking men's rugby 4 years ago, really, right? Like the ladies were just sweeping.
Yeah, the women really performed well at the last World Cup. I believe they came in second. And there, my niece and my daughter-in-law, both with the Rugby Canada women's team program now, are really looking forward to getting to New Zealand and doing as much as they can to get to that final game.
Yeah, for sure.
They're working awfully hard.
Yeah, it's exciting too, right? But now, who in your family is with Guelph?
So my niece Sophie is with Queens.
Queens. That's right. Okay, I'm sorry.
No.
And she's a powerhouse.
She's a terrific player. She's got great skills to play in the back row or second row. And one of the things I love about Sophie is she's got a real leg. She can really kick the ball. She can kick the points from almost anywhere.
Really?
And I think she can play on any premier men's team without boot.
Now, is this something she picked up hereditarily, or is it she was at the rugby field as a baby?
She was definitely at the rugby field as a baby, but I don't know that either her mom or dad had the ability to kick the ball. I'm not sure where that came
from. Was she a multi-sport player?
Yeah, so Sophie, and she still is. Sophie plays basketball for Queens as well as rugby.
Wow. Yeah. How important do you think it is to have multi-sports as a kid?
Multi-sports are great. I think kids should play all sports. They should.
100%.
I think one of the things that are a bit unfortunate with kids is that we ask them to specialize way too soon.
Today, it seems, it's kind of, I've talked about it and I've been ripped about it for my opinion, but certainly I think academy, where that these kids are on the ice at 11 years old, 12 years old, all of a sudden having, knee replacement or not, ACL tears and stuff at 13. I mean, it can happen in any sport, but if you're doing one sport too much and paying, tens of thousands of dollars for that opportunity to, I think it does hinder. I go out, play tennis, go golfing, go lacrosse or whatever. To me, that's where you get the agility and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Playing different sports, hand-eye coordination. So
definitely.
You played a lot of sports. What did you play growing up?
I played lots of soccer, lots of basketball, for me anyway. A bit of rugby. Yeah.
Were you from? Did you? Your
I grew
family?
up in Victoria.
Yeah. Okay. But your family was in Holland.
My parents immigrated from Holland. My brother Hans and my two older siblings were born in the Netherlands as well.
Okay. Have you ever gone back? And the reason I'm bringing this up is the pride of Holland. I know firsthand, having a stepfather who I just love the man. I think he's probably the most gentle. You wouldn't want to piss him off, mind you, but he had an experience where his brother unfortunately passed away on the farm it was all farming that they did. And he had the experience of being a Canadian citizen for years now, but he immigrated. I don't know when actually, but when he went back, he got to experience the parade at Liberation.
Oh, right.
And he was torn, like so proud to be a Dutchman, but at the same time, seeing how they adored the Canadians, he felt more, so much pride that he never experienced before. Like, holy shit, I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
Right? Is that something that you grew up with, that you knew that there's that much respect, and that's the country you want to immigrate to? Do you think?
Yeah, my parents had to look at a number of countries when they decided to immigrate, but came to Canada, but they knew about Canadians. They knew the Canadians were generous people, that were hardworking people, and that it would be a fair and safe country to go to. So,
is that where do you think, like, if I don't know if you've even looked at it, do you think that's where your drive and passion and commitment and loyalty comes from to putting this on, like, year after year after year, this commitment that you have?
Perhaps. I haven't really thought about it in that context. But, there could be a certain sense of that, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Now, with the players that you're coming through, have you noticed a difference in the last? Mental health is big in sports. And all sports, and more people are talking about it, and it's okay, and that's you're supposed to talk about it. Have you noticed any influx of that in the game of rugby or at a club level, where someone that you know for a while just seems a bit off?
Yeah, well, I think coaches and managers and team administrators are way more aware of the mental health part of the game, especially the effects around concussion.
Yes,
making sure that players don't get repeatedly injured in the head because of all the issues that can come along with that.
But they've changed a lot of rules too.
Tons of rules, and just in terms of just mental health, I think we try and support players as best we can.
Sure, absolutely.
Make sure that they're not only learning to play rugby, but we're also giving them access to careers. We've put in lots of guys into the various building trades. It's great to come here and play rugby, but after 6 years, maybe you stop playing and you're still a dishwasher. Yeah. That doesn't make any sense. We certainly expect players that come to JBA to not only think about playing rugby, but also think about where their future is going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you do that as well. Like I mentioned a reference to earlier, is that, a lot of these players, ex-players, have businesses in town.
Sure.
And they employ part of the workforce is part of that family and stuff. So there's no shortage of that, right? Going on. So it's feeding the economy. There's a lot to, like, it's more than a lot of other sports. You know what I mean? You don't really see that in a local hockey team where, now the kids are, much younger, not business owners, but you just don't, like, rugby just seems to be one of those sports in town here. Is it because we're on an island, because it's this closeness? Like, do you think it's the same way in Vancouver, in Alberta, and Ontario?
Yeah, I'm not sure about other places. I know that on the island, if you're asking people to come here, you need to offer them something, besides a little bit of boot money. I mean, you need to make sure that they're going to do something with their lives.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, we have, we have lots of guys that have done their apprenticeships through the club, found other opportunities for sure.
It doesn't have to be your club, but who do you think the best kicker you've ever seen? I have my guy.
Oh, well, Wyatt was a pretty good guy with his boot. I'm trying to think of our own. Bobby Ross. Bobby Ross was, I played a little bit with Bobby. I didn't play a whole lot of Premier Rugby, but we could play 10-man rugby with Bobby. We could just get the ball to him, let him determine where we're going to be on the field, and he was outstanding. Yeah.
My guy's John Graff.
Yeah. Super exciting player.
I was at a game at what's their park called?
At Windsor Park.
Windsor. I was at Windsor. Well, no, it was the year they had to win. They were going to get relegated. Actually, they were going to. So this got to be over 10 years ago, I bet you. But anyways, it was they had to win the last 4 games just to stay out of relegation, and the last game they were playing was against you guys, and it was, I think, seconds to go, and it was a drop kick. He never kicked with his left foot all day, and it was just the way it was, and it went in, and they won, and it didn't mean nothing to you. You're going to the playoffs anyways, but it stopped them from getting what I thought, and it wasn't from just a few yards out. Like this was that. I went, holy shit, what a foot!
Pretty magical.
And it's just. Is there a couple plays that stand out to you that you've seen over the years that you just like jaw dropping? How did that happen?
Couple of plays,
like this, that just like outstanding.
Yeah, I
like a run or something, or
Yeah. Well, anytime that DTH got the ball,
he was
playing for us,
about
he was a great guy to watch, and I just think even the tries he scored for Canada have all been great runs.
Yeah, I forgot about it. He played with you. That's right.
With us before he went to Europe.
Yeah. Wow.
Player.
Tank too, right? Yeah.
He's a super nice guy.
Yeah, I've never met him, but he's a. What about John Moonlight?
Oh, Mr. Moonlight. Yeah. Total package.
Everything, right?
And it wasn't bad to look at either.
Yeah. Easy on the eyes, is that what you're saying, John? You leave easy on the eyes? Yeah. All the firefighters, they're all the fucking same. That's why they're on calendars and we're not. Yeah. What going pro and all this stuff, is that something that rugby was needed? Is that help? Are you a fan of that? Does it take away? Like, where do we sit with this?
Oh, well...
Not well, I can imagine.
Well, it's just the MLR has been a pretty interesting league to watch. I watched a number of games from a different angle for a different reason, but it probably is, in the long run, the best opportunity for Rugby Canada to go forward if they want to compete on the world stage, in the fact that players are able to train and play full time. So we can do a good job getting players out to practice 2 or 3 nights a week and offer them a facility to train at, but they're not under a contract or an obligation other than their own drive. But so I think, in a few more years the MLR will improve, and the quality play that comes out of that will make better players, and I suppose that's the way forward. It's certainly a drain on clubs. Players leave pretty quickly. We probably have 10 to 12 players that are in the MLR right now that one time or another played at James Bay, and that's just the way it is. Including DTH, he's finishing his career right now down in LA. So
wow, yeah, he's so it's helped certain players, but it certainly is it's tougher on the clubs, right?
Yeah, for sure, and it wouldn't just be us; it would be everybody. And I suppose there's a bit of a vacuum, and I guess you just have to hope that you're able to fill that vacuum and bring more players up and create more opportunities.
Well, you're certainly on the right path by doing what you're doing with all the youth. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not here to hack on RC, but I was shocked to find out how little they actually, it really starts and stops at club level, right? And it's really good to see that. Because when does rugby? When do you teach rugby at your club? Like what age and up to?
Yeah, so the programs start at U7, and that's really they play different variations of tag and throw the ball around, things like that, and then goes all the way up through to U19. So U7, U9, U11, 13s, 15s.
Yeah. But Rugby Canada has its own youth programs too, correct? Ish?
Rugby Canada, I guess, runs the U17 and maybe U19 teams at times. I'm not quite sure how they administer those programs, select players. I'm not quite sure. There's a lot of pay for play, so those are programs that are available to players who can afford to participate.
I want to talk about that because I just speaking to a friend of mine who there was a kid in Esquimalt, and he's like 6'7" or 6'8", but he doesn't come from means, and you know, they struggles, and a lot of people do. I struggle, and he would never be found, and it was the decision: do we pay for this kid to go to this next level at Rugby Canada, or you know? So they went back to the board and they said, you know, I'm going to pay. Well, if we pay for one kid, we got to pay for them all. We don't have another kid that's 6'8", and you know, he's not 6'8" and a boy. He's a 6'8" in a man's body, and that's what they decided to do. But this kid wouldn't have been found otherwise. So to go out and into the community like that, you're only going to get that being involved in the community, right? So that's outstanding, and I'm sure you've had players over the years who you've spotted and went, okay, how about this? And that's kind of, you know, that's where I think they kind of miss the boat. And I think in sports, I don't know what kind of athletes we're getting. Are we getting the richest parents?
Yeah.
Or are we getting the best athletes?
It's a good question. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you think, it's not just rugby, but do you think overall in sports, there's kids out there that just don't want to play for whatever reasons, because they either don't like it or they're peer pressure or this or that, and are playing something they don't want to play?
Yeah, I don't know why we don't have higher participation level amongst youth in just various sports. Although some, I mean, I think there's lots of kids playing soccer. I think I'm not sure what
I bet you there's more kids playing soccer. I bet you it's one of the. I don't know what to think about soccer actually, but I know that I played at a level and it got too much that I didn't want to play anymore because of the yelling and like, I don't play for Madrid. Sorry. This is, you know what I mean? That kind of, you know, it's easy, Dad.
I think it's interesting. I'm pretty sure the stats bear that kids start to drop out of sport 13, 14 years old.
Exactly.
It's there are changes going on in their life, and all of a sudden
it's not fun anymore.
Yeah, you know, some guy wants you to specialize.
Yeah.
Or if you're not the kid that gets asked to specialize, and your buddy's taken off, where are you going to go? You're no longer playing with your friends.
But that's what I mean. So like it's one of these things that I think about, John, where I go, I know for a fact there's kids out there today, and pick a sport, I don't care, that are playing solely because they don't want to let somebody down, but they're not having fun, and I think there's got to be ways around making, or just saying, okay, go ahead, don't play it, like it's okay, right? So like it's evolved a lot where you have to be more aware, you know, because like I said, I think it starts and stops at a club level. So you are the you know, that responsibility is moving this kid along, whether that kid wants to be there or not, right? And I think it just comes natural, but I also don't think you get the accolades enough for doing that, to having a safe, proper place for kids to play. And I think rugby just does it right. And I guarantee it does it right on this island. You don't really hear a lot of negative stuff about rugby on this island, if anything. Not from club.
Yeah.
No, you know what I mean, John, is like you get...
We certainly want kids to have fun. We want them to go out, play.
There's no games. Embezzlement. There's no this guy taking money off here like you have in other sports where you go, oh, this guy, you know, just ripped the consent. You don't get that in rugby, is what I'm saying, right? Yeah. So it's just year after year, you just keep doing it right.
Well, we're doing our best.
Yeah,
that's for
good
sure.
For you. Okay.
We want kids to have fun.
What are some of the ways that you make your money? I know tree stuff and
we do all sorts of different
things. So tell us how people can help out.
We just finished 2 fundraising items. They are Christmas tree sales before Christmas, which is actually kind of a fun thing because it's we're selling them off our little lot in James Bay.
Yeah.
So we sell a lot of them locally, and it's a way for us to connect with the neighborhood again, because people come down with their red wagons behind them and grab their tree with their kids, and off they go again. And then post-Christmas, they come back with that red wagon again with the tree on it and dump it off so that we can ship it and leave a donation behind. So things like that are they make us some money, but they also connect us to the neighborhood.
You should, not to tell you how to run your business, but I always thought it would be kind of cool if you allowed them to rugby pass the tree off into the chipper, right? And to see just if you get it in the first shot or whatever, right? But I thought that'd be kind of cool to do that.
Kind of interesting.
Have you ever used rugby balls through the chipper just for a laugh?
No.
For money?
The chipper doesn't belong to us.
No.
That guy's not throwing anything but trees.
Well, maybe you should work for the Parliament building. Get that here. They're getting chippers there for free for nothing, right? Yeah. You got to have connections. Yeah. What other do you like? What's your primary registration, or do you rent out the halls, stuff like that?
Yeah. So our primary fundraiser that keeps the club going, that allowed us to let fight night go, is that we lease the upstairs of the hall to a daycare facility.
Oh, cool.
They've been there for 3 years now, and that's been a really good relationship. We've been able to use the upstairs now and then when we needed it. Yeah. And it gave them a place to get a pretty little successful Montessori daycare going.
Yeah. Do you call it Castaways?
Probably should.
You have 23 cribs.
But it's yeah. So, and then beyond that, we have a program that we run every year that we hand out at games and stuff, and we're quite lucky to get advertisers willing to sponsor that program.
So cool.
Social memberships that the alumni quite happy to purchase, and we have a little online store where we sell James Bay gear, merch.
Yeah, and you see it everywhere.
We're trying hard to get it out there.
Yeah, you see it everywhere, right? It's really kind of cool. Yeah. Do you have meals there? Like do you have dinners on a Sunday or stuff like that? I know Jeremy had the pig roast going there.
Yep. We've done a number of different things. Players get a subsidized meal every Thursday night after practice to get them ready for Saturday. Okay. Usually a carbo-loaded meal, and then hopefully they've turned that into energy by game time. We run an Italian dinner, or we did before COVID came along, and that was meant to be sort of a neighborhood and family event for players from all age groups just to come in and hang out. Good for you. Things like that.
Yeah. So status quo, everything's, even though 2 years of COVID and stuff, still excited. It's going to be around for another, 150 years. We're all good.
Yeah, we believe we've got a legacy that will be here 100 years from now, 150 years from now. We think that's an important reason to have a physical location. I think CW probably feels the same way.
I'm sure.
Someplace that players
and West Shore
that Cowichan. I mean, they've got a great facility up there.
They do.
Port Alberni, they own their own building and field up there. I mean,
really, I didn't know that.
Great. Yeah, same with Nanaimo. Nanaimo's got their own clubhouse, not the field, but those sort of touchstones make it possible for alumni to come back to and create a legacy that you can see will carry the organization itself through.
Rugby's strong.
I think it's pretty strong. Yeah. I think it's hopefully going to get stronger.
Absolutely.
Youth programs start to kick in.
100%. Well, John, I can't thank you enough for coming in and doing our little show. That's almost an hour. No, it doesn't feel like it, does it? But no, that's
see what your viewers say.
No, well, that's it, right? Well, they're not on to see me. I can tell you that. That much I've learned. But hey, listen, I really want to thank you for coming on and doing the show. I learned a few things. I'm a massive fan of the game. I really am, and I can't wait to get back out there.
Scott, we appreciate your support and all the stuff you do.
100%.
It's great.
I appreciate that, John.
Thanks.
And you're welcome on anytime, or if you have any players that
sure.
Anytime you like, you have an open invitation here, John.
All right.
Awesome. Well, fans, that was John de Goede, and he. Talking about James Bay Rugby. I found that massively entertaining. I hope you guys did too. And we'll go on to the next one. So take care. Good night.